TV and movies have a history of predicting the future, like Star Trek predicting the flip phone, or iRobot predicting Mark Zuckerberg, but none of them have predicted as many things as The Simpsons. It seems like at least once a year a big event happens, then an article or video pops up saying The Simpsons predicted it, and a lot of them are almost uncanny in their accuracy. A good one is in the 1998 episode When You Dish Upon a Star. In the quick scene you see the 20th Century Fox logo in the background, but underneath it says a division of Walt Disney. It would be 20 years later when Disney acquired Fox Studios in a merger. And while Disney was a big company at the time, they weren't the juggernaut they are today with Star Wars and Marvel making billions of dollars, so it was a good prediction. But a lot of these so-called predictions are just flat out wrong or takes a big stretch to make it work. I'm going to be ripping on this Collider article a lot, but I don't mean to single them out. These lists are everywhere. I'm sorry, I'm going to be that actually guy a lot here. You know, that guy who has to correct everything and ruin all the fun? Sorry, I just like my fun to be factually accurate, okay? And just to be clear, I love The Simpsons. It's one of my all-time favorite shows, but that doesn't mean they get a free pass. You know what? I'm going to make some predictions of my own during this video, so be sure to like or comment so you can come back in 10 or 20 years to see if I was right. But for real, please leave a like or comment. Anyway, let's start with one of the worst predictions that somehow also got the most media attention when it surfaced. The world was in a weird place at the time, so I kind of see why it got attention, but when you look closer, it's just such a stretch. This was the prediction of the COVID-19 virus. It's pretty eerie how accurate it is, right? The article says, Osaka flu caused a similar pandemic as the COVID-19 pandemic. The Osaka flu originated from a different country before it made its way to the US. In addition, the episode didn't have treatment immediately available, and the doctor recommended that patients got some bed rest, similar to how the scientists were still testing out their vaccine to prevent COVID-19 virus. But if you think of it for a second, it's very generic. The real disease came from China, not Japan. Yes, Collider, I know they're both Asian countries, but they're not the same. And yeah, the doctors didn't have a cure right away, so they recommended bed rest, but that's how every sickness works. Doctors never just magically have a cure right away. Pandemics are not new. They've been part of human history as long as humans have existed. In fact, there was an influenza pandemic only 30 years earlier called the Hong Kong flu, and scientists have been predicting for decades that the increase in globalization will increase the spread. Okay, time for my prediction. There's gonna be a virus at some point in my lifetime, but doctors won't immediately have a cure. This actually leads into the next prediction, which is in the same episode, eerily enough. While trying to get a cure, the crowd knocks over a crate of killer bees. This is supposed to be predicting the appearance of the Asian giant hornet in the US. This one is ridiculous because it's specifically referencing a recent event. Just 3 years before this episode aired in 1993, there were reports of Africanized bees or killer bees appearing in Texas. Stating a flat-out historical fact is not a prediction. Here's my next prediction. Since they've predicted something that had just happened, I'm going to say at some point a hurricane is going to happen in Florida. One of the most recent predictions was that of the infamous Titan submarine disaster, which is where a bunch of billionaires took a submarine to the Titanic and never came back. In the episode, Homer's rich alleged father took him into the ocean in a submersible, and that's about where the similarities end. The Titan sub reportedly was crushed due to a design flaw. They made the hull out of the same material that 17-year-olds put on their Honda Civic to make it go faster. Homer got stuck while searching for treasure and started to run low on oxygen, but he was quickly rescued by his father. Other than being in a sub and something goes wrong, there's really no other similarities. Now for my prediction. Somebody in a body of water somewhere will go under said water and will not come back up. The next one seems pretty amazing that they got it right because the episode aired all the way back in 2000. In the episode, in a flash forward, Lisa references former President Donald Trump.
We've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
And according to this Collider article, in the same episode, there's a clip of Donald Trump announcing his presidency while going down an escalator. This is amazing. That's gotta be some supernatural level talent. That's such a specific prediction, the Long Island media must have been a writer on the show. So how am I including this in the video? Well, because that's straight up misinformation. The clip of Trump traveling down the escalator was not from that episode, but one that aired after the announcement, obviously. The first part was pretty impressive though. But the idea of Trump becoming president wasn't all that far-fetched at the time. He actually sort of ran for president in 1999, although it didn't go so well. This article from The Hill says, in 1999, Trump quit the Republican Party to join the Reform Party and seek the party's presidential nomination. As he used to say back then about women around the world, he clearly believed he had a shot at the nomination. And he just may have. Even back in 1988 on Oprah, he said he thinks he could win the presidency, although at the time he didn't think he would run. Okay, time for my next prediction. I'm gonna predict who's gonna be president. Okay, let's take a look. Who's running? Okay, Ron DeSantis. Okay, he's not gonna win this time, but in the future, he will win, but he will make his announcement while riding down the Haunted Mansion ride in Disney World. Like Star Trek with the flip phone, The Simpsons predicted their own version of future technology. They predicted FaceTime. In the season 6 episode titled Lisa's Wedding, a psychic predicts Lisa's future wedding. During the prediction, we see Lisa talking to Marge through what they call a picture phone. Pretty good prediction, to be honest. Except the first functional video phone was created all the way back in 1927 by Bell Labs. There was even a commercially available one back in the 60s, which looked very similar to the one on The Simpsons. It definitely looked closer to those than an iPhone. Honestly, I think there was a better prediction in that episode which the news missed out on. Later in that episode, Bart is playing with a VR headset where they could physically feel the virtual world. And while VR existed back then, the idea of haptic feedback was much more recent creation, and just now starting to become more available to the public. Okay, time for my prediction, and I'm going to keep it on par with their prediction. Mine's that in the future, cars are going to, instead of use gasoline, they're going to use electricity. There, I can also predict a technology that already exists. Here's another prediction that on paper seems uncanny. In 2010, the episode titled Boy Meets Curl, in the episode Marge and Homer learn how to curl and eventually make it to the United States curling team. They went on to compete in the Olympics and win gold by defeating Sweden. Amazingly, 8 years later, the US beat Sweden in the 2018 Olympics for the gold medal. Amazing, right? Well, sort of. It was the men's team that won the medal and not the mixed doubles that Marge and Homer competed in. And in international curling, you see the same teams in the top spots every time, so it's practically inevitable that they'll play each other. In a similar vein, I predict that Canada will beat the United States in women's Olympic hockey. We got one more here and it's a quick one. The Simpsons predicted The Matrix 4. In the season 15 episode titled The Ziff Who Came to Dinner, while Homer is going to the movies with the kids, you can see in the background a poster for A Matrix Christmas. Pretty impressive predicting a movie almost 20 years before it comes out. This episode came out in 2004, and between 1999 and 2003, The Matrix released 3 movies. So it wasn't so much a prediction as a joke about franchises pumping out sequels. The prediction didn't even come true until nearly 20 years later. Here's my prediction, and I'll even include Keanu Reeves in this one. We will get another John Wick movie at some point in the future. I'm basically Nostradamus here. Like I said before, I love The Simpsons, and I'm not shitting on them. This is more about the media creating this false lore around them. The writers of the show weren't trying to make prediction, they were just good writers who wrote about topical subjects and trends that happen to be similar to some events in the future. And they got a lot of things right, but these ones are kind of a stretch. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.